At first, it starts with you're just naming the few words that you know. And then you keep going in your knowledge and it expands dictionaries to find related words and stuff. You're running back and forth, you're looking out windows, making sure that mom isn't home yet.
Remember, free porn sites are the equivalent of me handing out free cigarettes outside a middle school.
Sometimes it would just be wanna see, click here in the corner, and you're like, well, what are you talking about? You click on it, and then there's just this whole screen full of it.
What do you think he thinks he's going to see at 11? He thinks he's going to see maybe breasts, maybe a vagina, maybe people having sex. Do you think this 11-year-old boy for 1 minute anticipates that level of violence? He's horror-struck at first, but he's aroused.
From the 4-hour school time that I would have, before lunch, I would say that I had been looking at it for like half of those 4 hours, just going on it for the little few moments, or when my mom would go to help Gabby with her school, then I would have maybe like a 30-second period to just go and Google up what I need, and then I can go back to my school and, nothing ever happened.
He went from having fun playing with toys with his sister to beating her up, to her being terrified to be in the house with him, to begging me not to leave the room if her brother was in the room. No kidding, his behavior changed. No kidding, he started beating up on his sister. He was mimicking what he was seeing.
The change was just the direct result of seeing people mistreat women. He just thought he had the right to do it too.
We know with trauma that at the point you are traumatized, if you do not deal with the trauma, then you keep going back to where you were traumatized. And where was that boy traumatized? At the point at which he looked at pornography. So it is an excellent way to lay the groundwork for potential porn addicts. Great business plan, devastatingly awful for the culture.
My wife one time stumbled upon the history and realized there was some inappropriate stuff and wanted to talk to me about it because she thought it was me.
One day I was looking at the search history and I thought, I cannot believe this man. He's searching in French. Our older daughter says, Mom, that's not French. That's English spelled really, really bad. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Everything that I had questioned or wondered hit me all in a moment, and I knew it was Joseph. I wanted to see what it was he was looking at because I wanted to know what degree am I dealing with here. So it went from kind of like Google pictures to violent. Women are getting slapped, they're getting punched, they're being raped. He was on anywhere from 2 to 20 times a day, anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes.
How many days a week? All 7 days. 7 days a week, definitely.
I cannot believe how fast something like this happens. It's hard because you can't help but feel responsible for the fact that, you allowed this in the house. The internet is just sitting there ready.
I felt like I was just digging a hole and there was no way to look up.
There must have been a massive adrenaline rush going through his tiny little body at that moment between the stimulation of what he was watching and the stimulation of what happens if he gets caught.
It's pretty easy to trace from the minute he started to uptake, and if we match up the days, it's almost within a week of just how it lined up that he started to act out in anger. He started to disrespect his sisters and my wife right away.
I was just sitting in my room doing what I normally did, playing with my Lego and all this stuff. And then my mom walks into the room and I think, oh, she's coming to tuck me into bed. But she's got these tears streaming down her face. She's just crying and she's like, Joe, what did you do?
And I said, Joe, is there something you need to tell Mommy? And at that point, he instantly just started bawling and he said, I can't, it's too bad, it's too bad, it's too bad. All three of us, we just collapsed and were sobbing and sobbing.
I just felt awful. I just broke down and I was kneeling on the floor. I just felt terrible. And she's like, do you know how much you had done this? And she's scrolling on the history and it's just page after page after page of all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, seriously.
He just gave up everything, and from that moment on, we started to teach him how to fight against that.
For Joe, the other huge piece was humanizing the people. Joe, if that was your sister, would you be okay with her being on that screen? Joe, if that was me, are you okay if that's me doing that on that screen? Joe, are you okay if Dad does that to a whole bunch of women?
And right away it kicked into there's real women, and that's not okay.
The truth is, almost every kid sees porn before the age of 18. Until now, people had to show their identification at stores before they could buy porn. So what does meaningful age verification look like on the internet? We could follow the lead of the gambling industry, which requires a credit card. We could use a third-party system that verifies age while keeping identity private and issues an access key to use on porn sites. Whatever the approach, it has to be part of a much larger effort that equips parents to help their kids.
We did radical amputation, and we cut all access to the internet off.
People come in and just, hey, I can't pick up your Wi-Fi, and there's that sense that we're doing something weird, but they don't understand the struggle of just leaving everything open for everybody to have has caused damage here. The rule in our house is everybody sits with somebody when they're online. We have a machine that limits the hours we can set it, open it up and close it at will. So it's really nice, we can regulate, you need it open, you want to do some schoolwork, we pop it on, you're on. At midnight, it's not on. I don't care where you are in the house, you don't have access.
I had flip-flopped back and forth until she took the internet away, she took the computer away, and then finally I was just free.
We all as humans desire intimacy and connection, and you will never find that if you chase pixels on a screen. No amount of porn can ever love you back.
If you're letting someone under 18 use your computer, it's on you. You have to police your computers.
If my son in my house with all of the safeguards that I had was able to view it as frequently as he had, I'm telling you, it's not your fault. The system is broken and something needs to change.
Do I feel ready to go back on the internet alone? I feel that I could do it, but I want to stay safe rather than sorry. Sometimes the temptation comes, then you have to say, no, I'm not going into this, I'm done with that. I feel that now that I'm recovering, my goal is trying to stop other people from getting into this. I was in this, I know how you feel. Tell someone you know, maybe not your parents at first, but just tell like a friend or, a cousin, someone that you really trust. The best thing that you can do is tell someone.